you.
Yay!
Before we get going, would you mind making us a co-host, Colin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
When
It's
I
so good to
when
be here. We're jittery.
Oh my gosh,
We're
thanks for having
jitterbugs.
us.
We're
Jitterbugs!
jitterbugs.
I've got to remember how to do it. Just give me 1 second.
No
Yeah.
problem. If you need help, where is it usually? In the
Usually in the participants
Participants.
window.
Yeah, I've got to get you a little. There we go. Make co-host. There we go.
Yes.
Oh, somehow I've put Eric on. Let's get rid of Eric. Metaphorically, not physically.
Great.
There we go.
Alrighty, shall we begin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yay!
Absolutely.
Okay. Wow. This is okay. Well, first, hi.
Hello.
I'm Tara,
I'm EmKay.
and we are co-hosts of Down the Yellow Brick Pod, and this is our first long, I guess, presentation set ever in the world of Oz.
Yes.
So we'll preface by saying we're not experts, but we are in training, and we love this world so much.
Yes.
So Em, take it
We
away.
just are so grateful to be here. Thank you so much, Colin. Thank you so much, Erica. Thank you so much, Jay, for having us, and to all of you for just giving us this space. This is really exciting.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, oh, we're so thrilled. Okay, so just a little backstory on us. Oz truly revived us in this whole pandemic time. It saved our wandering imaginations. It gave us a bright yellow, purposeful road to practice being better humans on within this pop culture classic fairyland frame that unifies people in a time that has felt it's done a number on dividing us.
Yes. So we started our podcast a year ago, June 2020, so in the middle of being quarantined together. We're roommates in Astoria, New York, and we were actually here via Zoom last year as eager sponges, ready to soak in Oz knowledge from y'all. We had just begun, so very new to the Oz community, and it was so much fun last year to be a part of this. And just to reiterate, we are Oz historians in training. So
we'll keep saying that.
Yeah, we are still learning from all of you. So it's just really exciting a year later to be here presenting today with all of you. So we love the fandom of this world that we have all, for our own specific reasons, felt drawn to.
Yeah, and that is what we do on our podcast. That's what we investigate, this universal tissue that is unique to each of us, that connects us all because of this one dude, this one bumped and bruised entrepreneur 121 years ago, sitting down and writing a story that would go, I think, even further than what he could have imagined, beyond the moon, beyond the rain. Even if sometimes it feels like we can't quite put our finger on what it is exactly that attracts us to this world, we can all feel it. So it's a great honor for us to be starting off this convention, and we hope to reconnect you to your own Oz spark and this community today in your air conditioning. I pray you're in air conditioning, or we have a fan on. We're in a nice breezy room right now. You might see some sheet music fly in a second.
It might fly around, yes.
And with that note being said, we want to warm everybody up with a little something.
Yes, so we are both artists. We both work in the musical theater realm. We're both music and theater educators, and so we thought that we would warm you up with a song. We have a little medley. So we love to take Oz songs or reimagine some of our favorite songs and turn them into Oz covers. So today we thought we would give you a little medley that we call the Merry Old Land of Oz medley.
You can sing along, feel free.
Yes.
We haven't really messed with this too much. This is what you know from the MGM world.
Yes.
You can grab a cup of coffee and just chill with us.
This is our coffee shop cover. All right.
Here we go.
You're out of the woods, you're out of the dark, you're out of the night.
Step into the sun, step into the light.
Keep straight ahead for the most glorious place on the face of the earth, or the sky. Hold on to your breath. Hold on to your heart. Hold on to your hope. March up to the gate and bid it open. My gown, jolly old town, clip, clip here, clip, clip there, we give the roughest claws.
That's an air of savoir-faire in the merry old land of Oz. Ah!
Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. That's how we laugh the day away in the merry old land of Oz. That's how we laugh the day away with a ha ha ha, oh oh oh, ha ha ha, oh oh oh.
Hope you sang along.
Yes, we could see some of you bopping.
And enjoyed some coffee if it's that time.
Yay!
Yay! Well, welcome. We've transported ourselves to the merry old land of Oz.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to get into some trivia in a moment, but first, this is a quote from one of our favorite podcasts that helped inspire our podcast, from Harry Potter and the Sacred Text. They do some deep dives in the Harry Potter world, treating the text of all the books as a roadmap to life, which is what we found a lot of solace in Oz in this time. That is, reading fiction doesn't just help us escape the world, it helps us live in it.
So our first season back in June, we started at the very beginning with the original L. Frank Baum 1900 text, slowly savoring chapter by chapter, letting our interpretation of the text be our compass off the page and lead us, even in a there's no place like stay-at-home world. We found parallels to today: pandemic medicine, spiritual practices, activism, hidden meanings, and unheard stories we have never taken in before, and we renewed our brains, heart, and courage. We will actually be revisiting the OG book later this summer with our mini-me little selves, whom we met through the power of Instagram. They are a podcast trio called the ABC Sisters, who recently completed their own Oz reread season that is a perfect bedtime listen for any little ones. If you have not listened yet, Oz will take on a whole new level of adorable for you. Go check out the ABC Sisters. We can't wait to talk with them.
Okay, so now we're in our second season, and we are about halfway through what feels like the Oz Olympics of Wonderful Wizard of Oz musical adaptations. Currently in the process of concluding our time on the MGM lot. We were just recording for 3 hours before this, trying to wrap up post-production. Yes. There's so much.
We couldn't even hit it all.
We couldn't. Yeah. We were like just like dancing through some things that we wish we could go further, and we love it all. So this is where we're going to spend most of our time today and share this wacky deep dive that we have been on. So if our first season helped us peel back the curtain on unjust and broken systems in our country of the United States, as well as globally, then this second season has thus further helped us peel back the curtain on Hollywood, specifically the star grooming factory style system that started it all, and our own Broadway industry that we are a part of. So this has gotten a little bit more personal, I guess, for us, in recognizing some things that are still in place, some things that have changed and evolved. So it's been a really interesting framework for us as two artists in New York City. So part of what we do on the podcast, hence our title of Down the Yellow Brick Pod, Down the Rabbit Hole, is we love to fall down rabbit holes. And one of our earliest ones in our MGM beginnings was recognizing Judy Garland as the original Britney Spears. Y'all, have you been following #FreeBritney and everything that's been going on? It's a lot.
Yeah.
So just to present a few things. So during a hearing on Wednesday, I don't have the date, it was just a few weeks ago, at Los Angeles Superior Court, Britney Spears asked the judge to be released from the literal control of her father. She is in a conservatorship that has dictated her life for the past 13 years. This is not a story that is unfamiliar with young women, especially in Hollywood. So there's so many similarities here. Inside of her anguished remarks about her personal situation, there were many broader questions, which we would love to discuss today, about the intersection of gender and autonomy, enduring stigmas about mental health issues, how to grapple with toxic family dynamics, possible substance abuse, and the pressures that the entertainment industry and the media often put on young performers, especially female performers or female identifying performers. So both Judy and Britney have been caught right in the middle of a very imperfect storm. So with this being said, we'd love to pose this question, and this is what we do on the podcast. We open up discussion where there's really no right or wrong answers. Yeah. It's mostly about the exploring. So if anyone wants to come off, we can maybe take time for like 2 or 3 people to come off and share anything that has come up for you. So we have boiled it down to witnessing this societal fascination with the inevitable downfall of young female identifying celebrities, someone like Judy Garland, someone like Britney Spears. Why do we think that is? Why do we think that is? Does anyone want to contribute to this conversation? We're getting deep already.
We're diving in. Welcome to the pod.
I'll go.
Yes,
Yeah.
Colin.
It's still misogyny. If it was a dude, look at the guy who played Iron Man, who had a mental breakdown and but he's on a pedestal. But if it's a woman, no, you're not allowed to redeem yourself. You've got to go away and hide away and be a little wifey. It's still misogyny, and I don't know how we undo it, but we still got to keep pushing against it.
Yeah, it's part of that. She's being treated like a product, and like an object instead of a person. And again, and it's decades and centuries, millennia of this oppression. And again, like you said, Judy Garland, she was forced by her mother to get at least, what was it, 1 or 2 abortions, and she 2, thanks Adele, she was, her whole life was controlled, even her whole life, especially before she was 18. And we're seeing this again with Britney. She has a UDI, and she's not allowed, not UTI, sorry. And she's not allowed to have it removed, and her father is taking advantage of her money and her life, and IUD, thank you. It really ticks me off. It really does. Being helpless and controlled by your family. I feel a little bit of that.
And the thing with most people relying on the bad things with their lives is that they just let the negatives overpower the positives, when in reality the positives overpower the negatives.
Mm-hmm. And Adele has her hand up next after James. Sorry.
And thank you so much, Erica, for helping us moderate.
Yeah.
Thank you, James. Adele, do you want to add?
I kind of do. Erica knows about this because she said she's been following the Instagram posts of mine. I am not, I wasn't as controlled as Brittany is by her father. I never had a conservatorship, but I just left my very toxic, very emotionally abusive household where my parents, they pretty much did control my life. Like, I was living in the house as a 26-year-old, and my mother wouldn't let me go out of the house unless she approved my outfit. And when I got upset at her, she would start making a scene and then blame me. And it was like, wait a second, you're blaming me for wearing something that you don't like, even though it's my body, it's my choice what I want to wear. And I literally, at the same time as I was going through that, I was seeing what Brittany was going through, and I'm just looking at her going, nobody deserves to be treated that way. For those of you who remember me from last year, I was actually in a program my parents stuck me in. I never agreed to be in any programs that my parents wanted me to be in. There's a chance my parents are still my power of attorney, which I never agreed to. I don't know. I can't exactly ask them, but nobody deserves to have someone control their life if they are capable of controlling their lives. And yes, I know Brittany had that breakdown in 2007, but she's come back from that. She seems like a very, very capable young woman. Yeah. And she doesn't deserve any of that. Whoa. Thank you. I'm actually, as I said, I'm going in for a mental health intake next week sometime. And they were like, bring stuff with you to keep you distracted. I'm like, I'm taking the Oz book. It's going to be the first 3, but just in case something does happen and they send me someplace else, I'm not going anywhere without my Oz book. That way, no matter where I go, if they send me someplace else, no matter what happens, because I can actually finally be truthful about all this. Because the other thing is, the reason I've been posting so much is because I couldn't say a damn word about this before because I was being silenced. Why do you think I kept escaping to Oz?
Adele, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. That's why I love fairy tales and fantasy and all so much, is because first of all, I didn't realize I was dealing with this until much later because, little girl hidden. But it was hard for me to make friends. So my friends were Dorothy, were Ozma, were Alice, were Wendy, were Snow White. Those were my friends. Still are, by the way. Still are.
I know them too. I know them well.
We hang out.
Okay, that made me do. But yeah, that's where it comes in. I mean, I grabbed as many fairy tale books as I could before I left. I had to leave a lot of Oz stuff, including books 4 through like 14. Those are still back there, but I found what copies they are, and I'm just going to reorder them when I can and just be like, screw it. I took my grandfather's top. I took my stuffed animal. Those were the only 2 things that were irreplaceable. Everything else can be fucking replaced. But yeah, as that was going on, I saw what Brittany was dealing with. I'm like, nobody deserves to be controlled.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's exactly what we've been drawing light with on our podcast with this. And like, yes, it hits home at so many different levels. There's also a lot of stigmas around mental health, and especially for Judy, there was no language yet for addiction.
Which I have. I have many mental health issues.
I see you. I have my own mental health things too, and I see you, and
I see you too.
We're starting to get language, which I think is very helpful and healing, to have words that express this without feeling like a burden to someone else. Because we witnessed Brittany have like a public meltdown when she was in postpartum, and no one really took that into consideration. So it is a very interesting thing to be looking at, and to also see some evolution about the camaraderie and like community that is coming behind Britney Spears right now. And we still have Britney. we still have her, and that's what's important here, is that she's still living. Her life is still here. She still has so much of a life ahead of her.
Yeah, she's still young. Yeah.
So our hope is with that, and we've been really loving finding these connections to bring into our contemporary day scene. And thank you so much for everyone sharing in the chat, and thank you all for sharing like your personal experiences too. I think that's the power of community, is when we can share, like peel back our own curtain a little bit. And I know it's hard and it's uneasy, but grateful that we're doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We could spend the whole time here
talking about.
Let's change it up with a little.
Yeah, please. Can we go back to Oz?
Yes, coming back to Oz.
Coming back to
Real
Oz.
world to Oz. Well, actually, before we go, we want to source some of our resources that have been really helpful.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes. So a few resources that have been super helpful in talking about this time period of the 1930s and kind of drawing back the curtain, as we like to say. I've been listening to this incredible podcast. It's called You Must Remember This.
Does anyone else listen? You could wave at us if you do.
Which one?
You must remember this. It has a really cool logo. Oh, Tim.
We see
Yay,
Tim.
Tim. Yes. It is so in depth, and it's been around for many, many years. So once we started diving into the 1930s film industry, I was like, Tara, we gotta check this out. So a little bit on that podcast, just to spread the love. It's a podcast dedicated to exploring the secret and or forgotten histories of Hollywood's first century. The podcast was created and is written, produced, and narrated by Karina Longworth. Since launching as a passion project in April 2014, You Must Remember This has become one of the top film podcasts around. It's heavily researched. It's a work of creative nonfiction.
It's really cool.
And I love this. Every reasonable attempt is made at accuracy, which is what we try to do. But quite often, when it comes to the kinds of stories we explore here, between conflicting reports, conscious and unconscious mythologizing, and institutionalized spin, the truth is murky at best.
Yes.
That's kind of what the podcast is ultimately about, which I just feel like we connect to because there's so much research, as Tara will share some of her research, especially with American history, American film history, this time period that we were obviously not around for. And one of our favorite things about Oz is some of the myths, right, to like dive into. So we don't always come up with concrete answers, but we have fun exploring them, and I think she does the same thing. And just a bit about her, she began her career as a film journalist. She was on the staff at Village Voice. She was a film editor at LA Weekly. So that is, You Must Remember This, and specific episodes that we dove into. There's an episode called The Lives, Deaths, and Afterlives of Judy Garland. There's a whole MGM stories series that is super in-depth. Mickey Rooney makes an appearance. So
I think Martin Short plays Mickey Rooney.
Yeah,
it's really
yeah. There's
great.
some like acting out of some characters, some real people. So that is one of my favorite resources.
I'll just piggyback really quickly on this amazing book called This Was Hollywood. This is by Carla Valderrama. She also has an amazing Instagram account where she posts really amazing hidden tidbits, but this book is a must read. Okay, well now it's time for some Hollywoodland inspired trivia that has to do with our MGM film. So have your trivia hats on.
Being put to the test.
How we'll work this is if you raise your, we'll just go off of, actually, should we do chat? Putting answers in the chat?
You could put it in the chat.
Yeah, let's put answers in the chat, and then we'll shout out people who got it right as we are going along. Now, this is just for fun. Some of these might be hard. I don't know. We're gonna find out. I don't know if these
they were
are
hard
harder
for me.
or
I'm not
easy.
gonna lie.
I have no clue. We will find out.
Okay, y'all ready? Get those brains going. Here we go. All right, Hollywoodland trivia. Question number 1. In 1924, MGM combined which 3 production companies? And that's all you get. In 1924, MGM combined which 3 production companies?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
In 1924, MGM combined which 3 production companies?
They're hitting in the chat. It looks like
Ooh, we see some good
Nate
stuff.
got in there first. Yes, Goldwyn, Metro, Mayer. Yes. And we were getting a little bit more specific. We have Samuel Goldwyn. Yes, that is correct. Excellent. Their official names were Metro Pictures Corporation, Goldwyn Pictures Corporation, and Louis B. Mayer Pictures.
Woohoo!
That's awesome. Good work, y'all.
Good work. And so a little bit of trivia just about each of these corporations. Metro Pictures Corporations, both a film distribution and motion picture production company founded in 1915, producing films in Jacksonville, Florida, Fort Lee, New Jersey, and Los Angeles, California, establishing its home base in Hollywood in 1919. New England theater owner Louis B. Mayer was their first secretary through 1918.
Started as a secretary.
There you go.
Keep that in your brain.
Start from the bottom, now here. And their star roster included supernovas like Ethel and Lionel Barrymore, Lillian Gish, Buster Keaton, and Jackie Coogan. And it was purchased by Marcus Lowe in 1920. Goldwyn Pictures Corporation, a motion picture production company founded in 1916 by Samuel Goldwyn, as we mentioned, whose original last name I saw in the chat, Goldfish, was merged with his Broadway producer partners Edward and Archibald's last name, Selwyn.
Fun
facts. The famous Schuberts were also big-time investors as the studio developed between New York City and New Jersey studios, eventually moving out to Culver City, California in 1918. Our favorite Leo the Lion was their trademark, and Will Rogers and Tallulah Bankhead, two of their top stars. Goldwyn would walk in 1922, and Lee Schubert would soon after get Marcus Lowe at Metro on the horn. Louis B. Mayer Pictures, another emerging film production company of the silent era, helmed by ex-Metro Secretary Louis B. Mayer in 1918, with Universal Pictures' Irving Thalberg appointed as the head of production in 1922. Come 1924, a hungry Louis B. wanted in on the Metro-Goldwyn merger magic.
Yes, and that's how we got MGM.
And that brings us to Metro Goldwyn Mayer Studios, the star-studded solution to reviving Metro's recent lackluster films with the prestigious production quality of Goldwyn and the ruthless leadership of Louis B. Mayer as the studio head, very ruthless. Thus, the glamorized movie industry and its factory-style system was born. Sam Goldwyn would also later be the one to sell Louis B. Mayer the rights to The Wizard of Oz in 1938 for a whopping $75,000. It's somehow all in the family.
Okay, next trivia question. Okay, which of the 5, and you get some options, revolving door film directors of Oz was a Kansas native? Which of the 5 film directors of Oz was a Kansas native? A, Norman Taurog, I might say these names wrong. B, Richard Thorpe. C, George Cukor. D, Victor Fleming. Or E, King Vidor. Or you could just put the name in. A, Norman Taurog. B, Richard Thorpe. C, George Cukor. D, Victor Fleming. E, King Vidor.
Which was a Kansas native. Scott
and Colin.
first.
Richard Thorpe is correct. He was from Hutchinson, Kansas.
Woohoo!
Ask the follow-up question, Em.
All right, follow-up question. Speaking of Thorpe, what of his film footage is presumed to have made the final cut in The Wizard of Oz? Richard Thorpe, what of his film footage in The Wizard of Oz is presumed to have made the final cut? You get to just come up with it on your own.
This is a sketchy one. It's in some history books and in others not. So none might be correct. Not the farm scenes.
I thought the farm scenes yesterday.
Not the Scarecrow dance. Witch's Castle is closer,
Ryan
and it's a very specific moment of the Witch's Castle.
Walk to the Emerald City with Buddy Guys.
Oh, interesting.
The chandelier
Falling closer.
We're getting closer.
It involves a little friend of ours who's furry.
Crystal ball. Melting scene.
Toto's Escape. They did reshoot it, but there is rumors that some of Thorpe's footage made it into that final cut. Okay, so
nice
next,
work, y'all.
From Disney's Folly to Leroy's Folly, name 2 women who crossed over and brought a Snow White good luck charm to Oz. 2 women. That is correct, Scott. The Thorpe footage, yes. Yes, with Adriana. Yes.
Yes.
With Adriana Caselotti, yes.
And we have one more.
One more. Behind the scenes. She was Mervyn LeRoy's good luck charm. Known as the Barber of Drama. I want a biopic on this gal.
We really want it.
Going once, going twice. Have we stumped the OzCon? Her name is Blanche Sewall. She was the film editor on The Wizard of Oz. Yes, and we love her. We keep giving her shout outs entirely too much, but we just really love her. One of the only females behind the scene. But yes, you all know Adriana, which is excellent.
Walt Disney's sister-in-law.
Yes, Blanche was Walt Disney's sister-in-law and was brought in, like, after she worked on MGM films, she went to Disney to help with Snow White, and they credit her to being why the flow was so perfect. And of course, Adriana was a well-known voice actor, but not well-known at the time. She's kind of a secret that Disney kept, and didn't have a lot of work outside of her cameo in Oz and doing, of course, Snow White's voice.
Yes.
All right, Em.
Okay, number 5. Which actress was the first rumored frontrunner for both Dorothy in 1933 when Samuel Goldwyn purchased the rights to The Wizard of Oz, and Disney's initial live-action Alice in Wonderland at the age of 41?
Not Shirley Temple.
In 1933, think 1933.
This is when the rights were first purchased, so we're backing up a little bit. So Shirley Temple wasn't even yet a star. Yes, Scott!
Mary Pickford!
Mary Pickford. There's some really cool photos you can find of Mary Pickford in some test samples.
Dakota Fanning,
that's correct. Finding Mary Pickford in the Alice dress with holding Mickey Mouse's hand.
It's
but
so great.
Paramount beat Disney to the punch, so they just kind of gave up on their adaptation.
Yeah.
Amazing. We'll keep it going. Oh, this is my favorite. True or false? Judy Garland had a Hollywood ice cream parlor on Wilshire Boulevard in her name during the filming of Oz. True or false? False. True. False.
Lots of falses.
The falses are correct.
Falses
you know what
correct.
she did have? Yes!
Flower
Scott, you're
shop.
killing it. A flower shop.
Screams.
She had a flower shop. Pretty great. It looks like it was just a stage something.
Yeah, I don't know if she really worked
I think
there.
she worked there when they took press photos.
For
and
a
that
day
might
or
be
two.
it.
The
That might
photos
be it.
are incredible.
The photos are amazing.
She was too busy for that.
I know. She's booked. She's booked, honey.
All right, so that was false. Number 7. Many of our MGM stars were vaudevillian veterans.
Vaudevillain. That's what it looks like.
Vaudevillian veterans and had worked together before. Many with Broadway credits to their names, as well as successfully transitioned artists of the silent picture era. Which Broadway musical review by none other than Harold Arlen and Yip Harburg united Ray Bolger and Bert Lahr in 1934? Here are your options. A. George White's Musical Hall Varieties. B. Hooray for What? C. Life Begins at 8:40. D. The Show Is On. So
A is George White's Musical Hall Varieties. B is Hooray for What? We have some B's coming in. C is Life Begins at 8:40, because what other time does it begin at?
only 8:40.
And D, The Show Is On. We've got some B's.
Ray Bolger and Bert Lahr reunited.
It's Rent. That is
Definitely
correct.
Rent.
That is correct,
Definitely.
Erica. The B is a bit of a trick. Hooray for What had Ed Wynn as a vehicle, and he was the original consideration to play the Wizard of Oz. It's not Hooray for What. It's actually C, who Jeffrey,
C.
get it, Jeffrey, is Life Begins at 8:40.
We love it. We love 8:40.
Okay, bonus points if you can name the third composer
Harold Arlen.
on this musical. So it was Harold Arlen and Yip Harburg.
Harburg.
And who else? And this person also is one of the first people to hear Somewhere Over the Rainbow. They tested it out on this person.
Ryan J.
Yes, Ryan J.
Gershwin.
With Gershwin,
Ira
Ira.
Gershwin.
Excellent, yes.
Perfection.
Okay, this is one of my favorites. Which actor's signature song was the Song of the Woodman pre The Wizard of Oz? A. Bert Lahr. B. Buddy Ebsen. C. Ray Bolger. D. Jack Haley. Ooh, we got some buddies.
Song of the Woodman.
Ray. I saw, though, the correct answer above.
I think it's up there.
Ryan J.
Ryan
with
J.
Bert
again!
Lahr.
Bert Lahr.
Bert Lahr. The Song of the Woodman was his. Go watch it on
It's on
the
YouTube. It is intense.
It's in the film Merry-Go-Round in 1938, but it was his signature, staple.
It's incredible.
It's what he brought the house down with.
Yeah.
Okay, hit it.
All right, number 9. Emerald City Extras also had extravagant Hollywoodland lives, as fabulous flies on the wall, and more. One extra, Amelia Batchelor, is even credited as being the alleged model for what famous studio logo? A. Paramount Pictures. B. RKO.
I see the answer.
C.
We don't even
Universal.
need to give it to them.
D. Columbia.
Yeah, you're all like, we know this
Columbia.
one. Columbia.
Yes.
Excellent. Good work,
Amelia
everyone.
Batchelor.
That was across the board. Okay, this is our 10th and final question. I forgot I printed one out for myself,
Great.
too.
Perfection.
Okay, we love a secondhand song, and as we know, Over the Rainbow, as stated by the Library of Congress, is one of the most culturally, historically, and artistically significant pieces of music to exist thanks to continuous reinterpretations since 1939 and revivals of Wizard of Oz productions. So who was the first musical artist to cover Somewhere Over the Rainbow in 1939? Was it A, Glenn Miller and his orchestra? B, Bob Crosby and his orchestra? C, Horace Heidt and not his orchestra and his musical nights? D, Ginny Sims and her orchestra? Or E, Del Courtney and his orchestra? All of these folks did record the song in 1939. Do we know which one was first? Ooh, Susan, get it! Yes, Susan. B.
You got it, Susan.
Glenn Miller's was A.
I thought it was Glenn.
Glenn's was probably the most popular, one most played at the time, but actually Bob Crosby and his orchestra beat them to the punch. They recorded it in August 1939. Amazing. Now, we'd love for you to put in the chat. We're going to start a little segue into some of our favorite rabbit holes from this season. We'd love for you to put in, what are some of the wildest things from the many script rewrites that made the cutting room floor that you wished that you could see, that you wish there was either footage of, you wish it wasn't cut? We know that there's close to 20-ish screenwriters, depending on who you ask, who worked on this film. A lot hit the chopping block, and Yip Harburg was even one of those screenwriters. So what would you like to have seen? Let's see what we have in the chat.
Great work on that trivia, y'all.
Yeah, you killed trivia. All the Thorpe material, I agree. So that gives us like straightener hair, Wicked Witch of the West.
Yes, that hair. The Rainbow Bridge.
That gives us the blonde Dorothy.
I would love the Rainbow Bridge.
Yes, Rainbow Bridge.
The reprise.
The full reprise is so heartbreaking to listen to.
The Tin Woodman.
We listened to it on one of our episodes and we both started crying.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
The Tin Woodman turned into a beehive with some animation.
Yes. The Jitterbug, 100%.
Of course.
That home video of Yip Harburg doesn't, or is it Harold Arlen's home video? Doesn't quite cut it. I want the whole thing.
Yeah.
Rainbow Bridge and the Tin Man stepping on the bee. Yes, the beehive is popular. Beehive and Jitterbug. Would it help if I roared? Who at? I don't know. That's amazing. Some dialogue from the Jitterbug. Yes. The montage at the end of Dorothy, tops heels. Yes, we agree.
I would love to see that footage.
Yes. More Tin Man. Yes. Oh, okay. And this is Aunt Em telling Henry she will kill Gulch, and then the sheriff to the sheriff to get Toto back. Ooh. Yeah, she doesn't, I guess, let her Christian women get in the way.
Right.
She just lets her have it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rewrites with the Kansas sequences. There was a child that Miss Gulch had at some point. Yeah.
More than 13 minutes of the Wicked Witch. Yes.
Yes, Witch's Son. Yes, the Witch's Son.
Scarecrow Dorothy
What was his
romance.
name? The Witch's Son.
Oh,
it's leaving me.
Remember.
It was really yes, Bulbo.
Bulbo.
Thank you. Scarecrow Dorothy romance.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's some fan fiction if we heard it.
Yeah.
I think mine would be the Emerald City cut sequence that would have been the hoopla after the hail, hail, the witch is dead.
That whole production number.
That whole production number that got cut. Segueing from getting the broomstick back to the Emerald City.
Yeah.
I just wish, I don't need it to be in the film, I just wish we could see it.
That's how I feel about the ending montage. I don't think we need it, but it was shot, so I would love to see it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so good.
We're going to get into a little shared screen fun. Before we get into our slideshow, we're going to share with you how we'd imagine, because we know you all are wondering, what if the Farmhands had a song?
You've been dying to know.
I mean, shouldn't they have gotten a song at the top of, this one-act play that is the opening Kansas sequence. So we decided to get our imaginations going and give them the song they deserved. We hired King Vidor as a director.
Yes.
It was really great working with him. We had a great time.
Blanche edited.
Yeah, Blanche edited, so it was a really fun time. We're going to show that to you now. So bear with us for 1 second as we get the screen going. Let me, hold on. Let's put you down. Excellent. This is the fate. Okay, there we go. I'm going to pause it. Pause. We might get an ad.
Oh, Wizard of Oz on Ice is being mentioned.
Oh!
We have the program
The
right
program's
next
right next to us. Okay. Share screen. All right, everyone. Here we go.
Here we go.
We know you were curious about Z, Conk, and Hickory.
Here we go.
This is what's happening during the Professor Marvel sequence. Back on the farm.
Back on the farm.
It's a mighty hard road that my poor hands has hoed. My poor feet has traveled a high dusty road.
That's a prop from my wedding.
Out of your dust bowl and westward we rolled, and your deserts was hot and your mountains was cold.
Decided to film on location.
Yeah, we traveled.
That is my husband, Patrick, in the mix.
I worked in your orchards of peaches and prunes. I slept on the ground in the light of the moon.
On the edge of the city, you'll see us and then
We come with the dust and we go with the wind.
This was all King Vidor.
Yes, his vision.
California, Arizona, I make all your crops. Well, it's north up to Oregon to gather your hops. Take the beets from your ground, cut the grapes from your vine to set on your table your light sparkling wine. Green pastures aplenty from dry desert ground, from the Grand Coulee Dam where the waters run down. Every state in the union us migrants have been. We'll work in this fight and we'll fight till we win. Well, it's always we ramble. See, Conk, Hickory, that's I. All along your green valley, I will work till I die. My land I'll defend with my life if be, 'cause my pastures of plenty must always be free.
This is when Bert Lars screams, "It's a twister! It's a twister!" Then they decide,
And then they play-
screw it, let's
they
just
don't
play
care.
instruments. Stupid.
They don't care about this storm. Oh, there's a love
There's a love triangle as well. We explored a lot of themes.
Yeah.
But someday they're going to erect a statue to me.
Ah,
That
cut line.
is that. Oop, wait, hold on 1 second. We're gonna stop there. We'll come back to that. Just a little nonsense for y'all. Okay, we're gonna get into a little presentation. It is time. Okay, present, bless, Google Slides. Can everyone, it's loading, Can everyone see this? If you could just wait, I see some nods.
Yay,
Excellent.
good, woohoo.
Let's go down some rabbit holes, everyone.
Woo, rabbit hole time.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so one of our favorite rabbit holes, I'm just gonna pause this. One of our favorite rabbit holes was discovering how many, oh my goodness, hold on. Oh, she's sensitive, Okay, it was discovering how many reinterpretations of Over the Rainbow, the Hairspun. I mean, there's a million.
Yes.
This was probably
Will never end.
one of our most favorite. If you want to put in the chat what your favorite rendition is of Over the Rainbow, we'd love
Let
to
us
hold a moment for
know,
that.
let
But
us know.
we won't play this just for sake of time, but this is one of our favorites. It's Liza Minnelli at age 13, showing us that she is going to be the next great interpreter of a lyric, because she is just as genius of her mother, if not her own entire different thing. But you could just see the Judy in her and also see her own thing. It's
Yes.
unbelievable.
Adele says one's in different languages.
Oh, that's yes. We've had some of our listeners
Yeah.
share that they love to listen it to Over the Rainbow in different languages.
Yeah, it's amazing. One of my personal faves is Kristen Chenoweth in her Broadway show For the Girls that I saw a year and a half ago. So amazing.
Yes.
Act 1 closer.
Israel's, yes. Israel's is one of the best.
Yes. Wonderful World mashup.
Yes, so beautiful. There's so many, but this was one of our highlights, finding, because we didn't know it existed. There's also a 1948 version. Oh, Jessica Grove. Yes, love her.
The Piano Guys.
Angelica Vale. Ooh. I don't care if she's breathing in the wrong places.
That's okay.
I'll take
Go
it.
for it.
Amazing. Yeah. What was I gonna say? I don't know. It's not important. Oh, 1948. Judy did record the song for a television appearance, and she sang the verse intro. It's one of the only recordings of her singing the verse intro. You could find both of these on our Instagram if you want to follow us. We have these on there or on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go
So fun.
forward. Oh,
Easter eggs.
Easter egg time. So these are some of our favorite book Easter eggs that are not spoken about out loud. What do you think is the Miss Gulch one that we're obsessed with? It is pictured here.
A callback to the original novel.
The Wicked Witch, yes.
Umbrella.
Jay with the umbrella. Just, I don't think it was purposeful.
I don't think, but it's perfect.
But then I'm like,
not sure. Maybe it was.
Did she know the storm was coming? And this makes me think that she knew everything was going to go down all along. I think Miss Gulch could have a little connection to Oz.
Love that umbrella.
But of course, the Book Witch is known to have an umbrella, as she uses to hit Toto in the book with. But
used for not the great purposes.
She also has it for the fear of water ever coming in. What about the top right photo? Yes,
Golden
Colin, the golden cap. Of course,
so great.
Never mentioned in the film.
It is so random that it's there.
Well, they had a whole scene, but it was cut.
Planned.
Margaret Hamilton, too scary.
I never noticed it growing up.
Me neither.
Ever.
I never noticed it.
I just
had
thought
to be
it was
told
like
it was
a
there.
cool thing.
And then this is a little W.W. Denslow throw. Is there anything that you're noticing in the last bottom picture here that has to do? Yes, Nathan. The flowers and the rifle.
We love those
that.
illustrations. Yeah.
That was one
so
of our
cute.
favorite illustrations from the first season.
Good job, y'all. You're crushing it.
Is there any others that you love? Put them in the chat that we don't have featured here. We tried to find the ones that are not, like, they're just hidden, like they were supposed to maybe get mentioned, but they don't. Okay, we have the chat. We're looking at it.
The Sawhorse by the Tin Woodman's house.
Oh, yes! You're correct in that. I've heard of that. There is a Sawhorse there. Yes.
Winkies have spears. Oh.
Yes. Thank you so much. The crystal ball. Yes. Thank you for sharing these.
Keep them coming.
Okay, so we're looking at, this was the musical extravaganza and MGM link we did not know existed. So this right here, does anyone know who this is? I also have this.
Here it is.
I have the playbill. Yes, Ryan J. That's Charlie Grapewind. Yes. I have a playbill that I randomly found thrifting.
So good.
That Charlie Grapewind is in, because he is a old-timer vaudevillian. He grew up performing. He actually retired, but then the Great Depression made him come out of his retirement.
Crazy.
Because he needed money.
Crazy.
So then he got into silent pictures. Yes, let's quote Charlie Grapewind. But yes, he was in the 1902 musical extravaganza of The Wizard of Oz, and I believe on the road. He did not do the Broadway production. He did not do the original production, and it feels like he was in the ensemble from what we gather, but he did give Mervyn LeRoy a dog-eared copy of his script as a gift. And people would say, because Charlie Grapewind initially turned down Wizard of Oz, there was some thoughts that the movie was going to film on location, and he was like, I'm not going to Kansas, y'all. Like,
I'm not doing that.
I'll do this if we stay
Staying
here.
in Hollywood.
But he almost turned it down, but because those scenes were shot at the very end of the film, they kind of courted him for a little bit. They let him come and see what they were filming, and he was starting to get like a little bit nostalgic and also remembering his days on the road with the Wizard of Oz, and when they made that decision that they weren't going to go to Kansas, that's what sold Charlie Grapewind. Yeah. It's cool.
I love the musical extravaganza. One of my favorite episodes that we did this season, at the top of our season, was with, his name is Joseph Rubin.
Yes.
And he he's the head of the Canton Comic Opera in Ohio. And in 2010, they did a revival of the original Broadway production there, a theater that's dedicated to reviving these older shows and keeping them alive. And we just had a ball talking with him about all the research that went into it and everything that he found about the music.
The musical extravaganza.
It's wild. It's a wild ride.
Whack with a capital W. Like, there's no other words to describe it.
I would love
but I'm obsessed.
for it to be revived.
And I want to be a Poppy girl, like,
those
today.
Costumes. I think I was cast as Trixie in our version.
Oh yeah, we did for our Patreon
Trixie,
folks. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. We did fake auditions for the 1902 production via self-tapes, since self-tapes existed in 1902.
They totally did.
All right, we're gonna move on forward. Go back. There we go. Okay. This is bringing a little bit of Oz into our real world situations. Like we were telling you, we have been peeling back the curtain on our own industry. And something that Oz made us aware of, reading about the Munchkinland days, the filming on set, was how inaccessible the set was, and how dehumanizing it was for a lot of the actors who were the little people cast to participate in this film. From lodging being crammed, from not having proper access to bathrooms, having to be lifted to bathrooms by a random human who knows who would be hired as like the guard to help them. It just brings up questions of what can we do better for all humans, no matter of disability, no matter of anything, to be seen and held in these spaces and treated with equal sensibility. Mm-hmm. So this has been a big theme in the Broadway industry right now. Just to bring, if you are Broadway fans, there is a lot going on right now within the industry, calling for real change to make working environments safer for actors, to see true representation of people of all kinds of walks of life on stage. There was a march recently that really spoke to this, and there was an activist of the disabled community there, and this shook me, and I will just share this with all of you because it really just shook me. As the disabled community is the only marginalized community each of us can join at any second. It takes one life event to put you in that community. And that like really just like stopped my breath, and it's like, well, what are we doing to make this like invisible community really feel seen? Not just telling stories about their personal disabilities, but having real journeys that they can show. And this right here, this is my friend Evan Ruggiero. He's incredible. He's in a documentary we watched called Able, which highlights stories of all actors with disabilities, wheelchair users. To my friend Evan is a one-legged tap dancer. He lost his leg when I was in college with him to leukemia. He is incredible. You may have seen him on The Ellen Show. He's been everywhere. He just played the Tin Man in Pittsburgh CLO's production of The Wizard of Oz. With Jessica Grove, who's someone's favorite Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So he just did that. I am sure he was breathtaking. I wish we could have seen it. So that's the kind of stuff too. Like that's what needs to be seen. And Evan, I can't even imagine what that kind of performance was. Yeah. So that's just taking a little bit of what we're learning in Oz to our worlds and applying it and making sure we're being good, aware actors who are working to be allies.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to start this one off?
This was quite a rabbit hole from earlier
also,
on
like,
in our season.
Can we talk about King Vidor, like trying to get you to take him on a date right now? He's like, hey everyone.
So this was way earlier on when we were talking about the tornado. We, of course, did a very deep dive into the special effect of how they created the tornado, and then it was Tara who actually discovered this connection. So King Vidor is a Galveston storm survivor. When he was 6 years old, the Great Galveston Hurricane, known regionally as the Great Storm of 1900, was the deadliest natural disaster in United States history and the 5th deadliest Atlantic hurricane overall. The hurricane left between 6,000 and 12,000 fatalities in the United States.
King Vidor remembers a lot from this, and it actually influenced how he would do this tornado scene. Yeah. He talks about watching the waves just get higher and higher, and telephone poles starting to crash, and people rolling up their rugs in their homes and watching furniture float on lower floors. People praying and screaming in the middle of the night, just trying to sit this thing out. He said he remembers specifically that segregation, of course, was a big thing in 1900, and people stayed that way during this, but you heard either people praying or people, he said he heard like his black neighbors singing spiritual hymns to get through this. And just like when everything was finally over, 2 days after, crawling out of this wreckage, the identities of streets just completely lost. Of course, a lot of dead bodies, but he was able to get on the first rescue tugboat out. He never returned. He had no communication, and there was no communication to the island for a long, long time. There was no bridge. I can't imagine surviving something that traumatic and then coming into he picked up filming for Oz with the Kansas sequences, so he would be dealing with this storm. And some of the earlier reviews talked about the tornado scene being too real. It's too much. It's too scary. Yeah. And for that time, it really was.
Yeah.
It's
very well done.
But I think King Vidor handled it really, really well. I think his direction was spot on for that scene.
Yeah. That was an awesome deep dive.
And just on a lighter note, take his eyes back in. He's looking at you one last time before we move on.
Get that smile.
I saw the hunky comments in the chat. I see you. Alrighty, bye King Vidor.
Bye bye.
Oh yes, and start us off with this one.
So, as we mentioned before, we love to take Oz-related songs from the Oz universe or from the creatives who worked on the film and sort of put our own spin on it or recreate them. So, this is In the Shade of the New Apple Tree. So, this was in the style of the USO troops. We wanted to honor our soldiers.
We released this on Memorial Day.
On Memorial Day, yes. So we wanted to honor harmonizing gals like the Rhythmettes and debutantes who lended their synchronized sounds to the world of Oz and beyond. And of course, Harold Arlen, who wrote the music, and Yip Harburg, who wrote the lyrics, our favorite MGM Oz composing team and defining songwriters of the World War II era. Not to be confused with 1905's In the Shade of the Old Apple Tree. We are new. Actually that was heard in The Wizard of Oz during the discovery of the talking trees.
Yeah, it's in the movie.
As a faint instrumental underscore. In the Shade of the New Apple Tree was the stand-alone song written by Arlen and Harburg that wooed Arthur Freed in 1937. Who was then head of MGM's musical unit to call up Harold and Yip in New York and offer them Oz over in Hollywood. It is the song that sparked it all.
So you're going to see on this little performance, so we're giving so many nods in this performance. We named ourselves the Arlenettes appropriately, Rhythmettes and Harold Arlen being put in there. You're going to see our friend Samantha Joy Perlman, who's actually one of the Gum sisters in Chasing Rainbows, which is a Broadway-bound musical all about Judy Garland getting the role of Dorothy. We have fingers crossed that show will come at some point. Also, this arrangement was by our dear friend Matthew Mastronardi, so it was a nice little quarantine project that we got to have.
Our first time singing with someone else.
With someone else. Yeah. Very exciting. So please enjoy.
Do 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 do. A lot of leaves have fallen, a lot of grass has grown in that apple orchard your granny once had known. Rouge your lips, sweet lady, light your cigarette, fly through the sky, for no matter how you try to change all nature yet, underneath that shady apple tree, you recall a picture dear to me, your dress is another's, but your smile is still your mother's in the shade of the new apple tree. Though you bob your hair and show your knee, though the world is new and fancy free, the and the words are still I love you in the shade of the new apple tree. Gone are all the bonnets and the bows that set one's heart aflame. Gone are the hoops and the bustles and the skirts, but a kiss is still the same. Hey, Nani, oh, fortunately, there'll always be you and me in the shade of the new apple tree. Granny shy when Granddaddy spoke about that sacred flame. She blushed through her hoops and her corsets and the skirts, but he got there just the same. Hey, Nani, oh, fortunately, we have an advance, you see, in the shade of the new apple tree. New apple tree.
Whee! So this was a lot of fun for us. We loved making this.
Just a little
just
blue,
a little
credits,
break.
end credits.
Bloopers back here. Also, fun fact. Oop. Oh no. What happened? Where'd it go? Oh, hold on, y'all. Sorry. Do. These things are sensitive. Now, how do I get back? Do you know? Just go here.
Back to the
No, that's wrong. Oh, there he is.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good. Oh my goodness. Stressful. Present. Hold on, everyone. Sorry. Apologies. Present. Pay no
There we go.
attention
Yeah, don't
to
look.
the gals behind the curtain. There we go. Thanks, Okay, we'll get back into this slide. But what was really cool about doing some research too on the rhythmettes and the debutantes who did all the extra vocals, the optimistic voices, some of the lollipop, the Lullaby League, was that they were really uncredited during the Hollywood time, and they were also the Three Little Pigs voice in the Disney Silly Symphonies.
Yes.
Just super cool. Okay,
Yeah.
let me try to fly through this. God. No. Okay. I'm really great with technology. I'm gonna give myself an affirmation.
You're doing great.
Nope. Yay! Okay.
Here, cheers.
Here we are. This was a fun discovery that we knew nothing about. Jack Martin Smith's concept art, a lot of it being scrapped.
So gorgeous. So Jack Martin Smith, he was born in 1911. He passed away in 1993. He was the assistant art director and production designer on our favorite film, The Wizard of Oz. He served as the film's primary sketch artist, transferring the concepts of his bosses Cedric Gibbons and Bill Horning into artwork for further realization by the studio's construction department. So Smith produced all of the blueprint plans used on the film, plus color sketches, which would measure 3 feet by 2 of all the 60-plus sets. Gibbons, who was head of the MGM art department, then rejected all of Smith's sketches. Gibbons thought the color palette was too bright and demanded a more subdued, ethereal palette. Smith did all the sketch work over a second time.
And a lot of these watercolors just re-emerged within the last 10 years, have been sold in auction. They're just so stunning. I mean, especially the Emerald City waterfall land over there, I'm just beyond obsessed with.
It's gorgeous. I love the architecture of the Emerald City.
Yes,
It's amazing.
it's super cool. So this was a nice find visually that we didn't know existed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Special guests that we had on. I'll start with Kiki. Do you want to take Shanice?
Go for it, yes.
Okay. So Kiki Epson featured over here, who I know was on the OzCon last summer, or this year at some point. She did a special concert of her Scarecrow sessions. This is Buddy Epson's daughter, who has preserved a lot of his old Hollywood career through her own retelling of his story, his beginning stories, in her tribute show called To Dad with Love. And she talks a lot about Buddy's time on The Wizard of Oz. So we had her on the podcast, and it was such an illuminating conversation. Because Kiki's just really cool. If you've gotten to see her or anything, she's
to talk to.
the coolest woman. Has traveled, like, kind of traveled a lot of different mediums. She can sing jazz, but she's also like a rocker, and she writes her own music. She's really cool.
Yeah.
And she talked a lot to us about like what really happened with Buddy's allergic reaction that we kept seeing come up, and that the fact that that's how the studio spun it, which is not shocking at all. Basically, in the beginning in the 30s, when it was reported that Buddy was off the film, there was really no mention, just saying he was gravely ill. But Buddy would have to go back to work after he did recover from having not an allergic reaction. He suffered a toxic reaction that any of us would to the amount of paint that was being coated on him and getting infected into his lungs. He had to go back to work eventually after he recovered from Wizard of Oz, and no one treated him right anymore because they thought he had purposely done something because he was disappointed in not playing the Scarecrow. So it caused all these, because MGM never took ownership of what they did to Buddy, it caused all these problems in Buddy's life. She shared with us that Buddy had a nervous breakdown that's highly upsetting because of this, and recovered on his own time, recovered away from the studio. But then when MGM wanted to renew his contract, he said absolutely not, which is I mean, that's always the temptation, right? Like to stay in and take the money, because it was really good contract at the time. Right. But Buddy Epson had enough at that point, and then would go on to do productions of The Wizard of Oz when he took to the road.
So cool, yeah.
But we learned through Kiki, not only about Kiki's career in life as well, we learned about Buddy's sister. I'm blanking on her name. Buddy's sister.
Oh, now I'm blanking. Because we're blanking.
We're blanking on her name.
Buddy's sister.
Buddy had a sister that he went to, and I'm sure you'll put it in the chat if you know, that they went to Hollywood together, and she was dropped by MGM unexpectedly. That wasn't supposed to happen. So they had suffered a lot of kind of like Hollywood insensitivities, just the kind of machine that Hollywood is. But we feel with stepping into this Oz world, a lot of agency, or just wanting to share the truthful history that isn't just what the studio said of what happened on set, because this is a very harmful one that did happen.
Yes.
And then we got Shanice
and then
over
we have
here.
The incredible Shanice Williams.
Sneak peek to where we're going.
Sneak peek. This episode has not been released yet, so you're getting a little sneak peek. So we have a very special series called the Slipperhood series, which the incredible Ryan J is a part of, the incredible Tori Calamito, who some of you know, are a part of, and it is just an incredible community of humans who just have a connection to Dorothy, and whether they played Dorothy in a production, or they dressed up as Dorothy, or they love the shoes, we have just loved talking to artists and our incredible new friends about their connection to Oz. So Shanice played Dorothy in The Wiz Live on NBC a few years back, and we talked to her online. She's in Los Angeles
Thanks
now.
to Ryan J.
Yeah, thank you so much to Ryan J for connecting us. She was sort of a dream guest for us. And so she, was playing this part, and kind of as a newcomer on television live, I think at age like 19, very young. And she just really gave some love to the cast about how supportive they were, really feeling upheld in this Oz community. You'll have to listen to the episode to hear about some drama with the slippers.
It continues on.
The drama with she's wearing the silver slippers. We'll just leave that. We'll
leave that for you.
Teaser,
there is drama with those silver shoes.
There's drama with those silver shoes. So it was just so fun to talk about her experience with The Wiz, give some love to The Wiz. We both definitely rewatched The Wiz live the night before. And we're just excited to dive into The Wiz later on in our season. So it was very fun to get to hear about her experience.
Yeah, we'll be starting with The Wiz come August.
Yes.
We're very excited. Okay. Ooh, the on-scene witches.
Vilma. Thank
yeah.
you, Vilma.
I got you.
Oh, you got it. Oh my gosh. I was like,
you.
who was it?
I got you. Oh. The On-Scene Witches of Oz. So we did a little deep dives with Betty Danko and Gail Sondegard. Betty Danko, that was one of the hardest patches of our podcast. Reliving what she went through with an injury she had on set that we break down bit by bit by bit on our podcast episode. I believe it's the second one in the Emerald City sequence that has to deal with Surrender Dorothy. So if you want to listen to that, please do. But Betty Danko was severely injured, and it was covered up again by papers. So we wanted to shed light on what actually happened to her, because she's not someone of Buddy Ebsen's fame who was able to kind of reclaim his story in a public spotlight. She was a stunt woman, one of the best stunt women in town. But Oz was her first injury, and it's not to her fault. She was even blamed for it in some of the papers. They would say, like, she didn't push a button. No. Victor Fleming last minute changed the stunt and didn't let her rehearse, and that's what happened. So it's things like that, just telling the true story. Especially, I always question, I'm like, did the man say it at that time? Like, what did the women say?
What were they trying to cover up?
Just going back and making sure we're honoring that.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to Goddess Gale over here, who would have been, she was originally cast as the Wicked Witch of the West. I know these photos linger online, and people just love rediscovering them. Because it is just like, oh my God, would be a whole different interpretation of the Wicked Witch.
Very
more
glamorous.
Yeah, more in the style of Snow White's evil queen.
Yeah.
And she turned it down when they wanted her to go more in the direction, if you look to the right, of the scraggly hair and less glam. No fake eyelashes, Gail. No fake eyelashes.
Get those eyelashes off.
No high eyebrows. So yeah, like that it's beautiful to just see that it was preserved. Also, just taking a note, they spelt her name completely wrong. Miss Sondegard. There's 2 A's in there. Okay, MGM. Right. So just giving a little love. We talk about them in depth on our podcast.
And I was also struck, obviously, Margaret Hamilton was injured as well, as we know. And during one of Betty's injuries when she was hospitalized, kind of near the end, Margaret went and visited her and actually spoke to her, which I appreciated that.
There was a really cool sisterhood.
Trying to take care of each other.
Yes, and so after Betty got injured, they tried to get another stand-in, Eileen. I don't remember her last name, but I know her first name was Eileen. They tried to get her to do this stunt, and Bobby Cochet, Judy's stand-in, ran to her and said, "Do not do this stunt."
They were taking care of each other,
which is really, really great. Yes, the monkeys were injured. That's the first thing Betty Danko found out when she was put into the hospital, that 2 of the flying monkeys had just had some injuries with piano wire. Yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot. Okay, let's go to the next one. There we go. I mean,
breaking
news, everyone. This was so fun to happen while we were in MGM land. This happened.
Crazy.
I'm sure a lot of you have heard it's starting to get a lot of media pickup of this new discovery of a gingham dress that I haven't followed up quite yet. It's in the process of getting officially authenticated, but the Smithsonian says, yes, this is a real deal dress that was in the possession of this man featured here. What is his name?
Reverend Gilbert Hartke.
Gilbert Hartke, that was gifted to him by actress Mercedes McCambridge back in the 70s, and the school had always known this dress was somewhere in the costume shop, which is wild. But what's really cool is we talked about this on the podcast, and the man who discovered the gingham dress, Matthew Ripa, he reached out to us being like, "Hey, you captured my nerves really well on the podcast." So we're like, "Oh, that was you?" And we're going to sit down and talk to him, and it's going to be a special bonus for our Patreons that we have in our Patreon community. We'll put a little teaser episode out for everyone to see. We're going to ask him about this whole,
oh my God,
the fact that he held this dress in his hands.
I cannot wait.
It's been gone for so long, for over 50 years. That's crazy.
Forever.
Crazy.
One of our Slipperhood members, Steph Toomey, who is one of the Dorothys at Land of Oz in North Carolina, went to this university, Catholic University. She was the first person to reach out to us. She breathed the same air as this dress.
So pretty cool. I hope all of us can go back to our costume shop departments of our college theaters and find a gingham dress. Pretty cool. And last but not least on our little slideshow is our Oz spiritual medicine. We love finding framework that help us through whatever we're processing through the lens of Oz. And 2 of the big ones from this season was Bring Me the Broomstick. What does that mean when you get handed a broomstick? And we broke that down into a deflection of sorts, like someone not taking you seriously if you're being handed a broomstick or giving you busy work that doesn't really matter. So we started to ask ourselves, where are we doing busy work that is just us on a hamster wheel, but it's not contributing to anything that we value. So we broke that down into a really cool conversation we had on the pod as well as, of course, I mean, look at Toto just with that. I'm assuming
Draw that curtain
a
back.
magnet on her back that she's pulling that curtain back on. We also talked about the thankless Totos in our life, the people who are exposing truths that many of us are not ready to see. We
Yes.
just went through a crazy time where we saw a lot of our systems in lights that we've never seen them in, making us question if these systems serve all human beings.
Right.
So we had really great conversations in these two metaphors.
Yeah, this has sort of been our practice, even starting with the book, is finding these metaphors. Don't look behind the curtain, or a witch, or the green goggles. Like, what? It's always going to be changing. You know, what can we connect that to in our personal lives? So that is really what we spend a lot of our time on the pod doing, and what we love to talk about, and why we think Oz is going to continue forever, is we could revisit the book in a year and go through it again and have different examples from our lives come up. And I think that's why so many people, such as all of us here, connect with this story.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, friends. We're going to take you one of our other big spiritual medicine, and we're going to end, we're coming to our, sliding down to our ending. We have 2 more songs in store for you. But one of our other big metaphors for this entire time we've been doing Oz, of course, has been the rainbow. But where are the unlikely rainbows in our life? Where are we finding faith and resilience that get us through our harder things? That's been a big theme. So in our Patreon music videos that we do called Tiny Desk Concerts, our Tiny Oz concerts that we do, we love to take artists from today and merge them into the world of Oz. So what you're going to hear next is a little Cyndi Lauper, a little Kesha. I was like not a Kesha fan, and now I am.
We are
a
big Kesha
fan.
fans now.
And then you might get some Judy as well. This was our cover that we did for Pride this year, which Pride should be every month.
Every month.
Okay, let me escape here. You can do it, computer. Yes!
You're doing it.
Yes, you're doing it. Okay.
I used to live in the darkness, dress in black, act so heartless, but now I see that colors are everything. Got kaleidoscopes in my hairdo, got back the stars in my eyes too. Yeah, now I see the magic inside of me. Yeah, maybe my head's fucked up, but I'm falling right back in love with being alive, dreaming in light, light, lights. This kitty cat lost her mind, been looking for a star since I met. I'll be alright, look to the skies. I found a rainbow, baby, trust me, I know life is scary, but just put those colors on, girl. Come and play along with me tonight. I forgot how to daydream, so consumed with the wrong things, but in the dark I realized this life is short, and deep down I'm still a child, playful eyes wide and wild. I can't lose hope, what's left of my heart still made of gold, and I know that I'm still fucked up, but are we all, my love, darling? Our scars make us who we are. So when the winds are howling strong and you think you can't go on, hold tight, sweetheart. You'll find a rainbow, baby, trust me, I know life is scary, but just put those colors on, girl. Come and play along with me tonight. I see your true colors. You gotta learn to let go. Put the past behind you, trust me, I know the ghost will try to find you, but just put those colors on, girl. Come and paint the world with me tonight. Night, 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 night.
gosh, I could stop the share.
Lovely.
Yay, we're coming on back.
We're coming on back.
Oh, this is so much fun, y'all. So we have a Patreon, and that's where we develop a little bit more of our community, kind of bridging that gap that can exist between listeners, audience members, and the artists themselves. So Patreon does a great job of this, so you are serving your audience. Like, we take suggestions from our Patreons all the time and run with them. It's so much fun, and we create lots of bonus content over there. And this is where, as two freelance artists in New York City who want to keep our own projects going, this is where community really is essential to us, of having community funded projects. So if you are feeling like you want to have your hand in another Oz community, that's really ridiculous. We don't take ourselves too seriously. As you can tell with our last video, we like played with rainbow makeup all over our face. Like, we just have so much fun. We become six again.
We are six again.
Yes, we become six again in this world. So if you want to become six again with us, we will gladly join your hands. Our Patreon is patreon.com/downtheyellowbrickpod. You'll find everything there. We're having a big end of the season giveaway. Our Patreons always get, no matter what tier you come in at, always get 10 entries into our giveaway. One of the coolest things that's going to be in our giveaway that we just got our hands on is a menu from the old MGM Grand Studio Cafe. I mean, your kitchen needs this.
You need this framed.
You need this in your kitchen. You need to order a tossed house salad for $2.95.
The vegetable of the day.
Yes, but this illustration of Frank Morgan is also just really cool. So if you're a collector, this is kind of a fun, silly thing we got.
Yes, yes.
So we thought we would end with something live on the spot that my adrenaline's now starting to pump for. With something that we do, like we were saying, we had a Patreon party where we did this with our Patreons.
Yes.
We went through Oz and we're like, let's make our own soundtrack to the book. Like, going back to the book, let's make our own soundtrack with pop songs that we think would serve certain moments of
so much
Oz.
fun.
So we decided to end today to choose a song that we think you might know it, so sing along. We did do some rewrites to this one. It's a little bit of a parody, but not a funny parody, but definitely a parody, a rewrite.
Reimagining, yes.
A reimagining to take us into that final chapter. So first, I want you to get your imagination caps on. And I want you to see Dorothy has just taken the slippers, ridden the silver slippers, and she is now about, a road's way down. On the horizon is Aunt Em. She's just been landed. And she's waking back up, coming to and realizing that she's home. Imagine her running to Aunt Em, Uncle Henry, as the song goes on. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being with us on this journey. Here's our song.
Almost heaven, Kansas prairie, Auntie Em and good old Uncle Henry. Life is gray there and older than the trees, plainer than the cities, growing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. Kansas prairie, found my family, home sweet home. Country roads, I hear her voice in the morning hour. She calls me. Auntie Em reminded me of my home far away. Back on the yellow brick road, I got a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country roads take me home to the place I belong. Kansas prairie, found my family, home sweet home. Country roads, country roads take me home to the place I belong. Kansas prairie, found my family, home sweet home. Country roads.
home, country roads.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Home sweet home.
Home sweet home. Thank you. We had so much fun.
Thank you so much for having us. Always feel free to reach out on our Patreon, on our Instagram, Down the Yellow Brick Pod. Send us an email, down the YBP at gmail.com. And thank you so much again for having us. This was so much fun.
We sincerely love you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
Oh,
fuck
thank
the
you both
world,
so
I
much.
love it.
Oh, that was really, really good. Thank you so much. That was such colourful fun. I know you teased me with Country Road on Instagram, so thank you for that. It was adorable. What I will do is when we post this on YouTube, I'll put all the links down below for the Down the Yellow Brick Pod. I'll also put down the Patreon links for you guys as well. Thank you. That was great.
Thank
Does
you.
anyone have any quick questions before we get ready for the next panel? Probably got maybe 5 minutes. I know, Tara, you've got to run off soon
I have to
as
take
well.
the children.
Yay.
I wish I could stay with you. I'll be back later tonight.
Oh, fabulous! I adored the singing. Go on. Is there anybody who wants to say anything?
I'm gonna make sure I look into their podcast now. I'm like, God, I must have missed a lot already.
There's a lot.
There is a lot, but just jump in.
Yeah, just jump on it. It's available.
I will.
Thank you, Laura.
It's very very
you.
topical. But the girls, they're churning these podcasts out. I've got to do a little bit of catching up, so you've got plenty to catch up on.
Yeah, I need to looks like I need to look into it too. I'm really behind on all of my other stuff. But,
We are
yeah.
too.
Don't you worry. Yeah.
We understand.
Might stick out a little bit. Everything else is horror.
Yes. Excellent. Good to know this about you, Erica.
Yes, that's important.
Do you? I guess it might be too early to say, but do you have plans beyond Wiz? Do you kind of know which direction you're going?
Yeah. Yeah, we're finishing up this season with the musical adaptations. Will take us to December.
Yes, the whole year.
The whole year. We really want to make sure we treat The Wiz with the same thoroughness we treated The Wizard of Oz. So we're looking forward to that. We want to have a guest on with us for every single episode that is a person of color that's joining us in those conversations. So we're excited for that, and then we're going to take that all the way. We're going to go into like Madison Square Garden productions, the Canadian production.
Wizard of Oz on Ice.
Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz on Ice. Who
Here
saw
it
this?
is.
Well, that's cool.
I definitely
Nice.
did. Journey Back to Oz.
Journey Back to Oz. We're trying
Yeah.
just to the wonderful Wizard of Oz musical productions because there's so much already.
Yes.
So it'll take us through December, and then season 3, we are going to go back to the books.
Original series. Yep.
Return to Oz will be mixed in there with our back to the books. Just so we don't. It's just so much good stuff. Wicked will be probably our season 4.
Definitely
we'll go
get
there.
into Wicked. Yes.
So we know we have our hands
work cut
full
out for
at
us.
least till 2023, I think, as of right now.
Yeah.
But we're just so happy to be doing this.
And I'm
Oh,
sure
great!
that
You keep going. Fabulous. What I'll do then is I'll give everybody a 5-10 minute comfort break before the next bit of paneling. Tara and EmKay down the Yellow Brick Pod, thank you so much. It was fabulous.
you all enjoy the rest of your
Cheers.
I'll be back later.
Thank you. That was great.